Individuals define luxury in different ways. For some, it's about penthouses, exclusive clubs, designer clothes, and fine wines. For others, it can mean settling down for the afternoon with a good book. But do you know how the ambiguous meaning of luxury? It could be that very thing that has defined our often troubled relationship with it throughout history. Join us today as we dive into the luxury of ancient Greece and the medieval world, and let's see how it really worked then. But before we begin, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe icon. Let's go! One of the aims of luxury in ancient Greece and the medieval world is to trace the manner in which humans' attitude towards symbols of power, wealth, and indulgence developed from ancient Athens to the period of the Black Death. By observing how different some societies tackled the acquisition and flaunting of scarce and expensive goods, Scott, from the university's Faculty of Classics, opined that we need to understand how luxury became a four-letter word. We need to understand how it became something that we frequently despise, but also something that we can't live without. In the austere economic climate and surrounded by growing concerns about the impact of trade and commerce as regards to the environment, Scott believes that luxury is not to be associated with overindulgence. As a matter of fact, history does suggest that our craving for the extravagant and exquisite is too spontaneous to be brought under control. However, it can always be harnessed to good causes and better principles. Scott says, luxury isn't just a question of expense and beautiful things for the rich and powerful. It feeds into ideas about democracy, patriotism, and social harmony, as well as our values and our relationships with the divine. It is impossible to define, but we all know it when we see it, because we each have our own idea about luxury. That makes it a good tool for understanding the values and priorities of different societies, present and past. There was a historical attempt to rein in an individual's craving for indulgence in luxury goods, but this attempt rarely succeeded. Even the Spartans struggled with the issue, and they were still the ones whose name became the byword for abstention. However, the lesson is still quite relevant today, as China has lately introduced instant bans on luxury advertising due to fears that it could further foster unrest about the country's wealth gap. The past message seems to be that those restrictions will fail. The examinations of Scott commenced in the 6th and 4th century BCE. This period was when the intimissal city-states of Sparta and Athens broke away from the conventional idea that luxury was something aristocrats and ruling monarchs brandished as a symbol of personal power. The Greece capital, Athens, was also one of the first societies to manage luxury goods. We should point out that wealth has once belonged to elite ruling clans. However, rich citizens were asked to gratify the democratic ideal instead. These were asked to be done by channeling their money into public events or communal services. Although the idea was relatively successful, attempts to specify the exact thing that constituted luxury in sharper terms, like the kind of food people should purchase, simply served to stir up social unrest. The contrasting efforts of Sparta to stamp luxury out turned out to be a colossal failure. Great measures were even taken, such as bans on fancy clothes and the minting of coinage. All these were adopted in order to reinforce self-discipline and self-restraint principles. Although these were initially ignored after Sparta won the Peloponnesian Wars and became the dominant power in Greece, the wealth flow into the city only aggravated its rich-poor divide, which later stirred up its dissatisfaction that led to its breakdown and decline at the end of the 4th century. Scott pointed out that early experiments were an aberration and later smoothed over by Alexander the Great, having a more conventional approach as regarding showing off wealth. Scott says what they struggled with was a fundamental dichotomy between political theory and reality, between the idea of all citizens being equal and the fact that ideas about luxury and inequality would nevertheless always remain. Also, the Middle Ages saw different types of ecclesiastical disapproval of luxury goods like spices. However, state attempts to prevent wearing clothes above one's station. The church even became a substantial customer of luxuries, whether producing beautiful, illuminated manuscripts or investing in fine architecture. During this period, luxury was employed in the service of God. As materialism became an important social force, efforts to prohibit certain products became increasingly irrelevant, according to feudal strata. During the 15th century, society evolved something that resembled the complex consumerism attitude compared to the luxury it has today. And that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and give the video a like. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.